and post them on my YouTube channel. Okay, so we're going to talk about challenge groups tonight. I'm Coach Jace. If you haven't been on my power hours yet, post in the chat. Let me know it's your first time. My power hours are a little bit different. We engage the whole time. We work the whole time. But it's not all just inviting and connecting on my power hours. I really try to help you guys get a deeper understanding of what you're doing here. For me personally, I always think that inviting is a lot more impactful when you are connected to it. And I think that one of my favorite things is to get people to a point where inviting is the thing they want to do all day, every single day. Okay. This is your first power hour ever. This is very exciting. And this is a really good one to get on because I'm going to talk about challenge groups. So a few quick questions for you guys. You can answer kind of in the chat. This particular power hour might be really good for you if you are afraid to create a group or aren't sure or confident about the groups that you run. Maybe your group is dead. You've lost like a little engagement. Maybe you're not getting the results from your group that you want. Maybe you find yourself waiting a lot of the times to invite until there's like a launch or something shiny and new to like talk about that's super easy to talk about. Maybe you feel like all over the place when it comes to your challenge groups and you're not really like, is this structured? Is this working? Like what's going on? These are all things that I felt throughout the years of coaching, really learning how to coach people, learning what they needed, learning what, how simple it really is. But also understanding where there has to be structure and where there can be spontaneity and flexibility, and how that all comes together. So let's see, Kendra said, it's easier for me to have something to invite to, a challenge group, a free group, a sugar detox. Exactly. Everybody's always looking for like that thing, right? That they can talk about that's exciting, that like is going to catch people's eye, that is fresh, right? And I'm just going to give you guys something that you can invite to all the time with that much conviction. Like that's the goal for your challenge group. Regardless of what the company is doing, regardless of what products are launching, like if you're excited to coach people through your mission, then all that stuff is just extra. All that stuff becomes like extra. I don't even know how to explain it. Like your daily excitement is to build your group, build your community, because you're trying to help people into a new path, believe in a new, and gain a new belief in themselves, right? So we're going to kind of go over some of this stuff. So I'm just going to share my screen so you guys can see what we're going to work through today. So if you don't have this printed, just get a piece of paper out. Doesn't have to be fancy. But this will definitely help. And I want you guys to post in the chat when you have feedback, when you have comments, if you find things that are working for you in your own personal challenge groups. And then I will say, if you feel really solid with your challenge groups, what I really want you to focus on tonight through this exercise is making sure there's no gaps in your system, B, identifying what's working or what could be innovated or maybe added, or you could design the challenge group of your dreams. If you're not loving how you coach at the moment and you're like dying to innovate something or figure out like the ultimate way, if I could coach like this is how I would do it. Like that's what I want you to just like let yourself kind of create and dream about tonight. Okay. So the first little section, I'm just going to make this bigger so you guys can all see it and simplify the screen a titch. Okay. Hold on. I want to X out of this. Okay. So we're going to focus one little section at a time. So this very first part of it, it's pretty simple. And I just want you guys to pull out your piece of paper, pull out your phone, use your notes, whatever it is, but I want you to kind of brain dump, like just dump it out. So that you can kind of create this ultimate group and really identify like what is going to motivate and drive you to coach people every single day, because it does get mundane. It is going to get monotonous. There are going to be times where you're like, I'm bored, right? And I'm going to try and give you an ability to never let it get boring. Okay. So okay, let's start here. Number one, if your challenge group is producing results, new coaches, and income for you, that's when you have really created an effective system. Can you think of anything else? And you guys can put this in the chat. Can you think of anything else that you want your challenge group to cultivate outside of results, obviously, income for you and your family, new coaches to duplicate your mission, right? Build your team, get more people into a healthy lifestyle. If you can think of anything else, put it down. Okay. We're going to save that little note for later. So number one, where do you coach people? And again, if you haven't created a challenge group yet, this is where I want you to identify where you would like to coach people. Or if you're creating your dream challenge group, where would you ultimately like to be able to just coach people? Okay. There's a lot of different ways that you can. Facebook, your bod groups, through a website or blog, like an email blast. You can coach people on YouTube live. You can coach people in fit clubs, face-to-face, like with your local community. You can coach people through Marco Polo or Clubhouse. Those are just different social apps, TikTok, right? Identify really quickly, ideally, where you want to coach and write it down. I'm just going to give you a minute to do that. And this is ideally. Okay, the second part we're going to figure out, and we go quick because my overthinkers and my perfectionists will get lost in the details if we don't go quickly. Okay, so the second part of this is the timing and type of group that is the best fit for you. And believe it or not, some fits are better than others, right? So understanding this is super important, and B, understanding that you can innovate this or change this any way that you want to or need to or feel empowered to is fine. Okay. So if there's something that I miss, just write it in the chat. Be like, I actually do it this way, or I love it this way. Okay. Different group types. There's the free groups, or like the free trial period groups, right? Like the free sugar detoxes, like the catchy groups. There are month to month coaches who run month to month. Like every month is a new challenge. Every month is a new group. Every month is a new something. There are ongoing groups where coaches create like communities, and they are ongoing and they build them all year long. There are subscription-based groups. Hey, you bought this specific program and this specific product, so here's the challenge group for that. Does that make sense? Okay, so those are like the main ones. We're sticking to like the main stuff. And then there's specific time frames. So I want you to kind of identify both the type of group that you really like running, that you operate best in, and then time-wise. Are you someone who likes that 30 days? Do you like just a consistent, 365 group that goes all the time? Do you like 7-day workshops? Do you like groups that are built around a course, like 6 weeks, 8 weeks? Do you find yourself like really like setting a specific time to your group that you run? Is it program based? So whatever the distance of the program is, meaning this is a 60-day program or a 90-day program or 180-day, that's like what you base it on. Okay. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to just identify that and write that down. So the timing part of it is really important to understand, because if you burn out or you get bored or you lose momentum or you lose energy in what you're doing, it's going to flatline whatever you're for everybody else too. So if you're like, I have the attention span of 3 days where I can hop on rock solid, rock star my group, then create a 3-day challenge. If you can do that for 7, right? And I will say that as time goes on and the more you coach, the more that endurance builds, and the longer and longer you can coach without burning out and without losing all your energy. Okay. So for me, I just wanted to give you guys another tip.
Why is my speaker not working?
Oh, sorry. Let me mute everyone. Your group type and timing is, it can be interchangeable, meaning my group type and timing is 3 different things. It's month to month, it's subscription based, but it's also ongoing. So I build this community that's ongoing all year long, but every single month we have a day 1. We restart with everyone in the group, and then the new people come in every month as well, right? So it's ongoing. So once you've subscribed, you've added me as your coach, you're privy to anything I do for the rest of the year. Whatever it is, you automatically get invited. It's just how I operate, right? But it is subscription based, meaning you do have to invest in the tools that go along with the group, and every single month is a fresh, clean slate. Does that make sense? So you can kind of mold that however you want to. Does everybody have a general idea of how and where they would want to coach? Does anyone have any questions? Brianna's little thumb goes up. It's funny because she's not on the video. All these social elements are so cool on these. Okay. So the next part of it, and if you guys have ever been on my power hours, I really like to create formulas for things. So like, I like to create a formula for networking, connecting, inviting. That's just like really simple, so that I don't I have to have something concrete to focus on, or my brain is everywhere. So the formula for me with challenge groups, and this has been proven in the past 11 years in my groups, there's 3 really basic things that people need. So when you're creating your group and you're trying to coach people, it's more about like, what do people need in order to succeed in this journey? What do they actually need that I can provide, right? There's 3 things: structure, accountability, and support. Can anyone think of anything else? What do you need more than accountability, structure, and support when you're trying to accomplish a goal from other people, right? Everything else is kind of up to you. Your drive, your motivation, the work ethic, like everything else, like none of that you can control. So you can control these 3 things. I can create a structure, I can help with accountability and set that up, and I can support you like a boss, right? So make sure whatever you put in place is something that you have control in. Okay. Those are the 3 things. The thing that I discovered to keep your group alive, to keep your group, to keep you sane running your groups, and then to also create this scenario where you can constantly and excitedly invite to it. There's 3 other elements. Number 1, and these are the 3 that I think are missing from most people's challenge groups. 1 is the purpose, your mission. Like, what is the purpose of the group? And I'm going to give you this purpose in case you can't identify one, because that was real hard for me to be like, I want to, like, purpose is complex, but it's simple at the same time. But in general, coming from a business perspective, as a Beachbody coach who's also trying to build a business for your family and income, right? The purpose of your group is to get results, transformations. Super simple. That's it. Results, right? And then on top of that, you can add new coaches and income. Those are the 3 main things that you're trying to drive everything towards. Your invites, your sales, your daily coaching, your content, everything is funneling into really those 3 things. So when you keep it that simple, it kind of it'll help you eliminate stuff that doesn't lead to those things and add more things that do. Okay. But the purpose outside of those tangible, trackable things is really why you became a coach. It's your why. Why do you show up every single day, regardless if other people do or not? And that's the thing I think that's so important about the purpose part. Okay. So the purpose is the mission, and the mission will always mean more than the money. There used to be this war, and I see this with a lot of coaches where they fight the income because they feel guilty about making money helping people. Raise your hand if you can relate to that in any way, shape, or form. These two things go hand in hand. These two things, you make money when you help people. You don't make money when you don't help people with coaching. And that's the truth, right? Because how we make money is by giving people structure, accountability, and support. It's them getting results. If you're not doing that, then you're probably not seeing a lot of income either, right? But the thing that always brings me back is the mission will always mean more than the money, period. So I don't worry about that. I don't worry about the guilt of making money or doing any of that. That's not why I'm here, right? Like that's not my ultimate purpose. And the more money I have, the more I can give. And to me, that is such an anchor, right? So the money talk and the income part of it is something that every single coach who ends up being successful in this business and really earning income this way has to come to grips with. That's when you learn about your relationship with money. And that's a completely different power hour, but it's a real thing. So your purpose, I want you guys to just really focus on your why. Okay. And I'm going to give you some time to go through each of these categories and identify them for your challenge group so that they're in order. The second thing that people are missing are the expectations. And this is when coaches go insane. Like, this is when you're like, I hate coaching. I hate people. This sucks so bad. It's taking all my time. I'm not making any money, right? That's why. It's because the expectations are not set. So number one, because I love you guys and I'm here to help you, set your expectations of yourself. Give yourself an expectation. How much am I going to show up in this group? What's my schedule? How much time am I willing to invest here? And then set expectations for others. How do they need to check in every day? If they need something, do they come to me or do I go to them? Like, set the expectations up front, keep them simple so that you can operate within them, but make sure that those are established. Okay. The structure is the Beachbody products. That's our daily mindset, daily nutrition, and daily exercise. BOD, Shakeology, it's Beachbody. It's our toolkit. That's what the structure is. Okay. And then your challenge group provides a place for you to do daily coaching. Daily coaching is also part of the structure. So if you think about it, every single challenger that you have comes into your group. They have access to exercise, nutrition, mindset, and daily coaching. That is the structure. Super simple. And how many of you guys don't have access to doing that? None of you. All of us have it, right? Like, we all have that. That's one thing I think when people are like, what's your system? That used to stress me out of my mind. What's your success system? What do you do to make people successful? How do you get people results? And I finally was just like, that is it. The structure is the system. So now you all have a system there. You're welcome. Enjoy. Okay. The last thing that people are missing, and this is the one that will make or break your joy in your groups. This is where you get full creative control of your business, and it's the spice. Okay. The spice in your group is what makes you different. It's the thing that makes you you. It makes the group yours. It's your own way of coaching. It's your own approach. It's your perspectives, right? It's how you think about health and fitness. That is your spice, but it's also the content that you create. It's also like the accountability, like the little calendars that you create. It's the joy, it's the fun, it's the reward, it's the recognition, it's the personal growth people work on, it's the community. Like that's the spice, and that's your selling point all the time. The spice is what's going to get people in the door. Okay. So the purpose, the expectations, and the spice are the three things that are generally missing. And those are the talking points in your invites that like people are going to latch onto a lot. Also, if you have a structure, accountability, and support system in place, you're golden. You will get people results if you stick to that structure, to that formula. Okay. So I'm going to give you guys a solid 10 minutes. And what I want you to do is go through each of these categories and create structure in them. Write down your purpose, keep it simple. Write expectations for yourself so you don't burn out, so you don't overgive. There is a such thing as overgiving. Any of my people pleasers in here, stand up. What your structure is, I already gave that to you. Super simple. Don't overcomplicate that. The accountability piece, how are you going to hold people accountable in your group? How do you do that? Do you do that through BOD logins and check-ins? Do you do that through having everybody check in once a week? Do you do that through asking for progress reports every week? How is the accountability piece going to come into play? It's the tracking. There has to be tracking. Whether people like it or not, if you want to be a good coach and you want to get people results, you got to track that shit. I'm just telling you right now. Okay. The support system. This is so important. Okay. And I put these two little money signs right here because the support and the spice are your money makers. Those are the things that are going to generate the most income. How you support and serve your customers and your spice. What makes it different? What keeps them coming back? People will not leave. They will not leave a healthy support system. Think about it. What would it take for you to abandon a healthy support system in your life? Do you even have that? Because most people don't. So if you can create a healthy support system for people, they will never leave. And that's why that's your moneymaker, because that's what people are going to come to you for. That's what they're going to keep coming back to you for. And that's what's going to retain and attract your challengers and your coaches. That support is so key. How are you going to approach customer service? Right? Super simple, super important. And then the last part is the spice. Okay, the spice is my favorite part. And I'm going to go over a couple things with you after as to why, but I want you to just take a few minutes. I'm going to put on some music. You guys can ask questions in the chat if you want. And I want you to write something down in every single category. And once you're done, I want you to post in the chat if you get an aha moment, if you're like, oh, that makes sense. Okay, but this is your formula for your challenge group. If you can identify each of these categories, you got it. You're solid. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few minutes to work on that. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a couple tips with the support part. So you can put a lot of things into the support category, right? But again, this is a moneymaker category. So this is important. This is where you can kind of create your monthly flow. So a really simple way to do that is to write down Monday through Friday and assign a topic to every single day. Monday, mindset. Tuesday, nutrition. Wednesday, workout together. Thursday, recognition, right? Does anyone, just side note, does anyone have a really hard time with recognition? Most coaches are pretty good at this. This was a very challenging category for me. I did not grow up with a lot of praise. I did not grow up in an environment where we were recognized a lot. It was more like you're expected to do this. And that carried over into my adult life where I just like expect people to take care of their own stuff. And so when they don't, right, like it's super frustrating. And when they do, I didn't really recognize it. I was just like, oh, well, awesome. You know what I mean? Like it just was not a natural thing for me at all. That's something that I really had to learn, which is surprising, but it's these little things that make such a huge difference. And I just wanted to give you a little tip because this helped me a lot. Instead of thinking about recognizing people, what I really started to practice was acknowledgement. And that's really what people need. They don't need all the praises and the back pats and all this stuff all the time. What they need is, I see you. I acknowledge you. I get it. Like I see you. Like that, I think is so powerful. And however you do that, whether it's through recognition boards, little private notes, like DMing them, like it doesn't really matter, but that's a huge part of the support that you give to your challengers and your coaches. How do you support people? How do you acknowledge people? And if this is a weak area for you, that's something that you can maybe practice is how can I acknowledge this person today? Not so much, how can I put them on a throne and recognize them, right? Because that's literally how my brain thinks about it. It's like, it's just like, it's almost like it's like a hard thing for me. That's something, again, I had to learn. So part of your support, if you write down every day of the week and then assign a theme to it and stick to that, that support comes through in stability. Your stability and your consistency in sticking with that schedule, believe it or not, you guys, is like one of the greatest ways that you can support people is just being a constant, right? Like it's not even about being consistent, it's about being stable, like creating stability. So think about that a little bit. So in the support category, it's also kind of just about your flow. How do you want your group to flow? What do you want the energy to feel like? How do you want to coach people on a daily basis? Okay. And then the spice part of it, there's so many different things that you can do with it. So many different things. That's how you can add themes and accountability calendars and challenges and games and contests and rewards. Like the spice is really the thing that's going to hook people and like get them in the door that like you're so excited about. That can change every single month. You can mix it up as much as you want to, full creative control. That's why this never gets boring, is because you get to choose what the flavor of the month is, right? Like that's why your challenge groups remain fresh, energized, exciting for you, something that you are eager to add people into. The structure, the purpose, the accountability, the support, the expectations, like all of those things are really your foundation. Those are your ability to be able to create the spice and change and do fun things and still get results, income, and new coaches from your groups, right? The one thing I will say, and this is important as well, if you can identify like in your support area with your customer service, like how am I going to serve my challengers? If you can identify a few things that you're going to do as a leader of that group, how you're going to manage specific things, I think it's really helpful as the sponsor, as you being the one to lead the group. I'll give you my 3 examples. There's really only 3. I make sure that I have a really strong obstacle resolution packet in place. Meaning if an obstacle comes up in my group, I deal with it immediately. Like if there's a negative Nancy, deleted. And I'll message them immediately. Hey, I deleted your post. It sounds like you're having a bad day, or it sounds like you're whatever. I want to talk about it. And I just handle things immediately. I will never sacrifice the group quality for anything. Like that has to be your top priority, and you cannot be afraid to do that. Okay. So strong obstacle resolution is a really big one for me. Transparency is a really, really big one for me. And then opportunity is a really big one for me. I try and create as much opportunity as possible. Okay, so just like little simple things like this, really understanding again, like how you're going to lead your group, but keeping it really simple is what's going to help you do it for a long time and over, and to really win the race of being able to build your business, earn income, and then duplicate, and be able to keep going. So, the next part of this, which is almost equally as important, is really understanding how you work best. Okay. And there's, again, generalizing, but these are the two main types of coaches that I work with that I've seen. They fall into one of these two categories. There's people who are super planners or people who are more spontaneous. Like you're either like one or the other, and you're constantly like trying to figure out how to like be the other one that you're not, right? Like you're always like, oh, I need to be more organized. Oh, I need to be more detail oriented. Okay. You can probably already tell which one I am, but maybe not, because you look at my trackers and you're like, she's so organized, but just gonna give away my secrets. Okay. So understanding where you thrive personally is going to help your entire challenge group, your coaches, your system, your business, everything. If you understand how you thrive and you create a business surrounding that, man, you guys, can you love what you do so much? Okay, so which one is better, the planner or spontaneity? We're just gonna go over this really quickly so you can identify which one you are if you haven't already. But planners are all about the details, right? They are the preparation is life. I like to call them infomaniacs. It's like my husband. He has to have every piece of information exactly before he can start anything. Everything's in place. The negative side of this is the perfectionism. It holds you back a lot, right? Because unless all of those things are in order, unless you feel in order, unless you feel in control, it's very difficult to start. Okay. And then there's this spontaneous person who is not exact opposite, but they're a lot more in the moment. They actually have to feel like things are naturally happening for them. There has to be a lot of space and flexibility for them to be creative and to not get boxed into anything too structured, right? The failure point here is the lack of structure and stability. Like that's really where like really spontaneous people have a hard time, is they have a hard time creating stability and structure that they can stick to because they don't like that, right? So which one do you guys think works the best in this environment? You can write it in the chat. What do you think? So disorganized and OCD. Yeah, OCD. Yeah. So you're probably kind of both. What I found, you guys, the perfect harmony is a blend of both. And the way that you really achieve that in your challenge group is by assigning the constants and assigning the changeables. It's like, it's not pretty, it's not like great wording, but those are the two words that I use for myself because I am very spontaneous. I am like the person that posts live. I don't like schedule stuff. Literally everything I do is live because that's just how I thrive. Like that's how I want to live my life, present in the moment here, right? But that can only get you so far when you're working with other people. It's not just about us. We have to bend, we have to learn, right? And we have to create a healthy environment. And this is the most important thing when you think about your challenge group. Health is all about, and here's the word, who knows it? It's not balance, it's harmony. Health is all about harmony. And it's about all the different elements harmoniously moving together. It's not about them being perfectly even. Like balance, how many of you guys have a perfectly balanced life? Balance suggests perfection, right? Because each side has to be exactly equal in order for there to be balance. Who can achieve that? Raise your hand. I've never met one person who's been able to balance their life like that. The people that are happy, that are healthy, that are thriving, it's because their life is in harmony. Every part of their life, social, emotional, relationships, workout, health, work, everything is working in harmony with each other. That's why it's working. If one gets out of balance, something else makes up for it. And the pendulum's swinging constantly to keep things in harmony. Does that make sense? So with your challenge groups, when you're creating them, identifying what the constants are that are never going to change about your groups is key. That actually eventually will become part of the spice of your group. The thing that people come back for, the people that crave, the people that stay for, right? That support and spice. Those are your constants. And then the changeable things, right, are the things where you can play around a little bit. So I'm going to give you just a couple minutes and I want you to think about those two categories. What can I always have stay the same? What's never going to change about the way I coach, how I coach, where I coach, whatever. And then what are the things that I can use my creative, like my creative control in? What are the things that will keep my group spicy? Okay. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to write that down. And then I'll give you some suggestions if you can't think of any. Okay, I want to talk about creativity because you guys are posting about that. I think that that's a huge limiting belief that a lot of coaches have because honestly, you guys, where that stems from is because there's so much creativity in the coaching world right now. And it didn't used to be like that. The first 5 years that I was coaching, like no one was using Canva, no one was using filters, that none of that existed, right? And so that's something that kind of was bred with the social media craze. Like everything had to be perfect, everything had to be pretty, everything had to be like graphically designed. And that's where that came from. But that's not necessary. And that's not even really part of coaching. Like that's marketing, that is like a lot of things, but it's not really coaching. That's not your moneymaker. And I will say, like, the one thing that I always say to people who are like, I'm not creative, then get creative with how to become more creative. Find tools that other people have created and share them. That's a creative way for you to be creative about your business. Like there are people who create templates, who create, like Google it. Like if you need like a tracker or a design or anything, like get on Canva. There's literally thousands of templates made for posts, trackers, calendars, all of it. It's done for you. Like don't get in this mindset that your job is to be a creator. Your job is to be a coach, right? Like at the end of the day, if you're good at your job, that's really what's going to shine through. And I think your consistency through that is great. Does that mean that there's not a lot of coaches out there who need a little help? No, it doesn't. But that's something you can learn, right? Like that's something you can get help with. I think identifying the things that you're like, okay, this is not a strong point of mine, but I want this to be part of my business. Who can I adopt this information, this strategy, this concept, this perspective from and infuse it into my business? That's how you get creative as a leader with things that you're not good at. You delegate or you find a creative outlet. Does that make sense? The second thing I will say is every time you say, I am not, it's going to limit you, regardless of what it is. I'm so organized, yet OCD, right? And it's like most of the time when people are unorganized, it's because they get overwhelmed with the idea of organizing. It's not because you wouldn't want to be organized or that you're not good at it or that you can't operate in organization. In fact, organization for people who have OCD or ADD is actually something that makes you feel more sane. It's just because you have this like chaos in your mind, it's really difficult to get there. So that's when you're like, I either need help getting organized, so once I'm there, I can maintain it, right? Like it's just really understanding again how you operate so you can get what you need in order to build and grow the way that you want to, and not let these little obstacles hold you back because of fear or ego or limiting beliefs, right? Like if you know what the problem is and you're not fixing it, that's on you. Nobody else. That's it. And you should coach people the same way. Like if you're not losing weight and you're still eating a bag of chips every single day and watching that, like TV, that's what it's going to be. That's it. Like this is where like being a coach is really so important, because our job isn't to enable people. Our job is to empower people. And how can we do that if we can't empower ourselves? If we can't ask for help, if we can't lead the way, right? Like it's so hard to come into a business like this and not have pressure to know everything and be perfect, because so many people are so good at it. But again, you don't really know how good people are at it until you see how their challenge groups are operating. If they're getting results, are they making money? Are they helping people transform their lives? Or are they just making it look like that? Which is more important to you? Do you want it to look like you're being successful, or do you want it to feel and actually be something that's happening? That's something that I think is so important to just remind yourself. Okay, so some constants, just to give you guys a couple ideas there. With your constants, honestly, you guys, dates, times, and places, like where you coach people, like how you coach people, the dates and times that you set should be constants. Those should not change. Like the more you change times on people, you lose them. That's a really simple way to create stability in your groups. But the one-on-one check-ins should also be a constant. How you one-on-one directly check in with people should be a constant. And I will say the coaches who do one-on-one check-ins are the coaches who end up sponsoring more coaches. If you just do everything as a group, you're missing out on a huge portion of your business and probably not growing the business side of it. You have to do one-on-one work. And I know that sucks to hear because it's so much easier doing it as a group, but the one-on-one is really where it's at. That's what's going to move the needle. Okay. Another thing that's constant is your mission and your purpose. That's not going to change, right? And then even little things, you guys, like the colors and fonts that you use, those can bring a lot of stability to people. So really think about that. It's psychological fact that we are attracted to those types of things. So even though it sounds kind of dumb, if you use the same colors and you use the same fonts, like people will start to recognize that as your brand, as your group, as this is my challenge group, right? It's really simple, but it makes a big difference. Okay. And then some of the changeable things, again, we talked about content, you can change all the time. What you're talking about, how you're talking about it. Content is ever, like you can change that constantly. The theme and focus month to month or day to day or week to week or whatever, like if you're running little challenges or things inside of your group, like the rewards that you give out, how you do recognition, like some of that stuff you can switch up a little bit. So hopefully you were able to identify a few of those things. Let's see. Is your one-on-one a phone call, text, form, or question mark? So the way that I do one-on-ones is anybody who has a Beachbody On Demand subscription gets access to my bod group. Anybody who isn't subscribed just gets to be in my free community page and Facebook. But the ones that are in my actual bod group, and this is how I monetize my bod group, you have to be subscribed, right? Meaning you have to be invested in your journey if you want one-on-one time with me. I'm not going to coach people who aren't interested in doing the work because it's a waste of my time. I don't have time to do that. So it's actually pretty simple. I do one-on-one check-ins in my bod group. That's an expectation that I've set. I check in every single Monday, one-on-one with you every single week. If you need something in between that time, you come to me. Period. That's it. Super simple. It completely simplifies my life. If it can't wait, text me. Text through my bod group. That's how I one-on-one check in. And it's nice because they can track things for me. I can have them upload pictures, measurements, anything in their profile and see it all right there. So if you really want to get like nitty gritty with people, then you can. And some people really need that. And some people really don't. And that's what's awesome about the bod groups is you can customize that per person. And it's cool because in the bod groups, you can literally pull up a list of every single person in the bod group. And I do one-on-one check-ins with anybody who's posted and held themselves accountable that week. And then the people that didn't, guess what I do? Hey, you didn't check in this week. I didn't see you. And I either you're out or you better get your shit together this week because this is a work group, right? The thing is for me is like, it took me a while to get to the point where I was confident enough to really coach people, to really actually coach them. Because I think it's really easy to be like, I love everybody. I want to help everybody. I want to be super supportive. But what you learn is like how at your own expense, a lot of times is how that happens. People take advantage of your time and your kindness. And if you give them everything they need without them having to give anything in return, it's an inequitable relationship and it doesn't work in this environment. That's not why we're here, right? So I do my one-on-one check-ins through my bot group. It makes it really easy. And it entices people to invest in themselves and like actually get into that group. And then I save a lot of time not working with people I don't want to. Okay. So the very last part of this is what I want you guys to do, and this is important, is I want you to craft an invite now. I want you to take your talking points, your formula, like your purpose, the expectations you kind of have, that structure, accountability, and support piece, and then sort of what the spice is for you right now with coaching, with your journey. And I want you to craft an invitation with all of those talking points. I want you to create, like write out like a public, like a post. I want you to be able to post an invite to your challenge group. Here's what it's about. Here's how I coach people. Here's what you can expect. Here are the start dates. Here's the spice. This is why you should do it. And then have a call to action. I want you to lay out an invitation to your challenge group. And I want you to experience what that feels like without having a shiny program or product or whatever. I want you to sell your mission, like what your purpose is here, and find people who need that. Does that make sense? Okay, so your talking points, here's the little bottom piece that we're working on right here, down here. Include your talking points, the purpose, the structure, account, just write about your group and then have a call to action at the end. Okay, I'm going to give us like 5 minutes to do this. I want you to do it quick. Don't overthink it and have it ready to fire off. If you can type it in the chat, that would be fantastic. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do that. Okay. It's 8:03, so we got to go. But I just wanted to read you sort of what I wrote, okay? Just to give you kind of an example. I know sometimes like the wording and whatever. Again, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. You guys, like, speak from your heart, speak from your purpose, speak from your mission. Like, the more you do this, the more and more polished it's going to become, the more direct it's going to become, the more you're going to start understanding what people are really coming to you for specifically. When you speak in your voice, you attract your people, right? So I just wanted to kind of read mine so you guys have it. So I wrote results. That's what my group, that's my goal, and that's what I want, and that's what the people that I coach want, is results. That's exactly how my community was designed, as a results machine. That's what it's for. We focus on 3 simple principles every day: daily nutrition, daily mindset, and daily exercise. Those 3 things. That's it. That's our whole focus. I have you check in every day to the group. I check in one-on-one with you every single week and into the group every single day. I'll help you game plan. I'll help you invest. I'll help you get moving on the plan, and I'll support you along the way in the way that you need. We'll always have a next step to conquer. That's a huge piece of my coaching. We'll always have a next step, and we will help you reach the you ultimately hope to become. Because that's really my mission, right? I want to help people become the person they ultimately hope to become, not just physically, but in all the ways. My next 30-day pivot starts April 1st. Each person that joins gets a personal welcome and goal map from me, as well as a one-on-one session. So we are both in the know of what we're working for. It's just as important for me to understand where you're going so I can help you get there. And then I'll add some kind of call to action, right? Like, just try to keep it really simple. I think things change when you start to invite to your purpose and your mission over just the products and Beachbody and the community. Like, that piece of it is so key. And once you have people in the door, once you've connected on that level, and then you introduce like the tools, like, and then you're like, look at everything that I can give you. This community, this structure, these nutrition plans, this mindset, this daily coaching, these check-ins, like, this is what's going to change everything for you. Like, if that can be your spice, like, that's what they get when they work with you, and like had no idea what was behind this magic curtain of social media where you just give them a little glimpse. And then once they get in, it's like 1,000 times better than they could ever imagine. It's powerful. Okay. So hopefully this gave you a little bit of a structure for your challenge group. This doesn't have to be perfect. You can focus on 1 or 2 things right now and add things as you go and as you season as a coach. I mean, these 6 categories are what I developed over 11 years. It wasn't like that in the beginning. It was like, I'm going to post every day and you post every day. That was my group. And I transformed 100 people in 1 year that way with that structure. You post and I'll post, you post and I'll post. That's it. We show up. That's it. That works. Don't think that you have to have some complicated thing, right? Like focus on the elements of this that you really liked, adopt those things into your business and apply them. Like that's what coaching is. And that's when coaching gets really fun, is when you can just take bits and pieces and create something of your own. It's awesome. I put some little notes of income opportunities, like how to really capitalize in your challenge group. Results are always going to be your biggest money makers. Being able to show people that your system and your structure works, educating your challengers a lot. I think about, like, I don't think of it as marketing. I think about it as educating and providing good service to your customers. Brings in a lot of income opportunity. I think opportunity in making things convenient for people creates a lot of income opportunity in your challenge groups. Product-based challenges obviously bring in income, but your one-on-one check-ins are really what's going to build the relationships that lead to people having a great experience with their coach. And it inspires them to want to do that for someone else. It inspires them to want to do that and pay it forward, right, to somebody else. And then obviously, like, taking polls and getting feedback from your group is also a really good way. So at the end of the day, if you apply some of this stuff, or you can look at your business and you can ask yourself, am I earning income? Am I getting customer results? And am I sponsoring new coaches? That's when you know that your challenge groups are operating as those machines that you need them to operate in, so that you can just plug people into it, it'll work, and you can get people out and doing it themselves. And again, and again, and again, you want a system that is duplicatable, that you can literally plug people into, and you know the structure is going to work for them as long as they do the work, right? That's the ultimate goal. Make it as simple or as complex as you need to, and just get after it, right? Okay. I love that Brianna wrote her whole invite in there. You guys can go ahead and read that if you want. I'm just going to leave this on for 1 second. If you guys have any other questions. I love, Christy, I love the idea of a pivot. I'm a huge Friends fan. So I always think of Ross being like, pivot. And it is like my whole life. I think it's so funny. And so I tried to create a pivot group, which is basically a really simple way to get people moving. If you can use language that's achievable for people, then I think it always is so effective. But I think if you can change your vision of how you actually can coach people, and you don't put yourself in a box, like, you're so much better at inviting. And that's really going to set you apart from every other coach. If you think about it, like, if you are inviting constantly to your group because you have that much confidence in it, every other coach is inviting to the next program, the next shiny thing, which you can also do, right? It just becomes extra. It becomes like, oh my gosh, I have something even spicier right now, right? Like, I know I'm spicy most of the time, but like, now I have something even cooler this month. And I think it just helps really even out the ebb and flow of the business. It's going to help even out your income opportunity. You're not going to see such highs and lows and huge gaps and then huge boosts on launch weeks. You're just going to see a much more even, steady income, which is really what you want, right? Okay. Hopefully that was helpful. I'll see you guys in a couple weeks. We'll do another fantastic power hour, but we'll focus a little bit more on inviting, since I haven't done a really basic one of those with you guys yet. And thanks for staying on late, and I'll see you guys in a couple weeks.